Will clear eastwards with a mix of clear spells and scattered showers. Lowest overnight temperatures of 7 degrees. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
And you're very welcome along to Thursday Nights Off the Ball. It's Richie McCormack here with you right through until 10 p.m. Thank you for joining us wherever you happen to be doing so. On the way tonight, John Giles will join us on the line after 7:30. What has been a busy week of Premier League action and a busy week for John as well. Returns to the box, and also last night was part of the Leeds team that were handed the freedom of the city of, funnily enough, Leeds. That's to come after 7:30. After 8 tonight, Sean Ingle will join us on the line from Saudi Arabia, which is hosting the rematch of Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz Jr. on Saturday evening. We'll get the lowdown on just how the country itself is preparing for that fight, and will it make the least bit of difference to progress against what is a rather dreadful human rights record there. And in the football show, John Bruin as well is going to join us, and we'll speak to the one and only Jan Age Fjørtoft on his fellow Norwegian Erling Braut Haaland, who is tearing it up for RB Salzburg this season and is likely, it would seem, to earn a big money move, more than likely to the Premier League. That's all to come. You can get in contact tonight, as always, by 53106. That's the text line. It'll cost you 30 cents. And you can tweet us as well at Off the Ball. I'm joined in studio by the Irish Daily Star's chief sports writer, Kieran Cunningham. Welcome along, sir.
How are you?
Good, thank you. And the love cannon, Shane Hannon, is also with us as well. We're adding a border tone to the Newsround.
How come I don't get a nickname?
We're not allowed to say yours on air.
Okay.
Fair enough.
It's, to be honest with you, it's just nice to find a working journalist who is not at the Signify Sports Manager of the Year Awards and, 8 points deep at this stage. So thank you, Kieran.
It probably is a pointer to my age. Probably that I'm just not fit for the all-dayers that it turns into. I find awards functions hard going anyway, to be honest.
Why?
Like, even in my prime, if I ever had such a thing.
They're tremendously boring for the most part.
That's what I find. Really boring. I just wait. I sit through them waiting until the end, and then you can go to the bar and have a bit of crack. But like, some people love the whole thing, and you're just sitting there eating dreary beef, having a dreary conversation with some dreary marketing manager, and you just, like, if you're up for an award and you don't win, you're particularly cranky. And then, like, today's was like Jim Gavin won it, which was probably took everybody by surprise.
This is like this is basically everybody's getting the Dublin Awards in now. Cluxton won footballer.
Yeah.
Gavin's now won for his 5-in-a-row achievement.
Yeah, but it was at least surprising. Like other years, it was quite a bit of competition, but like this time it was a shoe-in, and it's kind of, it was interesting. I'll be interested to see when you see the interviews that come into the papers tomorrow, if he opens up in any way about why he's left.
We were going to hear from Jim Gavin himself. I can say he looks delighted to be there, stone-faced on stage, much like Father Stone when picking up the award. Owen Sheehan has tweeted a picture of himself along with Sinead Hassan and Jim Gavin, again stone-faced. But Owen Sheehan has bigger fish to fry today. Why? He has become a well-known YouTuber.
But there's loads of money in that.
There is indeed.
That's the future.
He's going to be saying, "Hey guys," and asking us to smash that follow button.
It's one of my 11-year-olds. His ambitions either to be an astronaut, a doctor, or YouTubers up there. And I've watched little bits of it with him, of people talking shite about video games, and they get millions.
Well, sure, look at us.
Owen Sheehan,
look at us, Kieran. We're sitting here on a Thursday evening talking shite about football, and Owen Sheehan.
No, but I know...
Football's relevant, Richie, compared to video games.
This is what's gained him fame and notoriety, mainly from the Twitter account Empire of the Cop, which looks after all things Liverpool and has 1.9 million followers on Twitter.
All in Norway.
They have been introduced to the wonder of Sheehan today on this morning's OTB-AM. He was angry at Liverpool's lack of excitement that they're probably going to win the league. There isn't this sense of, we're going to win, this is going to be brilliant. He wants a bit more outgoing. He's saying they're indulging in a little bit of Kerry-esque yera-ism.
He should know.
He would know.
I suspect it'd be quite tight at the end. No, I'd argue with the YouTuber over that.
Yeah.
Like, things can change so quickly. Like, over Christmas, in any of those back-to-back fixtures, Liverpool could lose a game and draw a game. Suddenly the gap is 6. That can very easily happen when you look at that schedule.
Are Man City still the main rivals, or Leicester realistic?
Yeah, Leicester don't. They just do. Like, you go back to when Leicester won the league. What did they win it with? 78 points?
Yeah.
Like, Liverpool are going to go 90 plus. And the only team that's capable of going 90 plus are City. So
I thought there's something about Leicester that I'm refusing to discount, because they're firing on two cylinders. A, they're scoring goals, and they're scoring more often than not in 2s and 3s, and maybe above. And they don't concede many either.
No, defensively they're the best, which is surprising because of Brendan Rodgers' reputation, or the stereotypical reputation he has. But they're very exciting to watch on the counter-attack. They are... I think Johnny Evans was a fantastic signing. Like, City looked at him for a long time, and why Guardiola didn't move, I don't understand. And you look back at United letting him go 5 or 6 years ago, and some of the awful centre-halves they've had since. Why did they let Johnny Evans go?
He's not sexy. He's not like a Victor Lindelof, or he's not like an Eric Bailly.
But the one thing I would say, like last night you looked at Liverpool didn't play Salah or Firmino, and they scored 5 goals. Like, Shaqiri basically playing his first game in a year scored. Origi's hardly played in months, scored 2 goals. And Leicester don't have that. Like, if Vardy's not there, he's gone for a few weeks. Do they have that?
Yes, they've got Jose Perez, Everton's golden.
No, they have some decent players. Like, it's not just about Vardy and Schmeichel.
But ultimately, that's the thing about Leicester. It's never going to be about the stars thing.
No.
Like, they're going to have players who perform well. Like, Evans has performed well at centre-half. Soyuncu has performed well at centre-half. Ben Chilwell, left-back, is probably one of the best. Only I'd say Andy Robertson.
Yeah.
He's probably better than Ben Chilwell in that position at the moment.
Yeah, as a first 11 is really strong.
But they're not heralded. You don't look at them and go, they'd walk into such and such a team. But collectively, there is something about them. Yeah. And we saw it against Everton on Sunday. They're never beaten. Yeah. They have that stick-to-itiveness, as some people might call it.
That's something they actually have in common with Liverpool and Manchester City. 100%. Like City have spent hugely, but they haven't. It's not like they bought a lot of players that cost 100 million. They bought a lot of players for reasonable money that they improved and gave big wages to, but they bought a huge amount of players. Liverpool did the same. Like, when Liverpool signed Roberto Firmino, nobody wanted him. None of the Bundesliga teams had any interest taking him from Hoffenheim. When Mane signed, I remember a lot of Liverpool fans say, why are we buying this guy that was at Southampton? Like, who is he? Andy Robertson. They were all going, a guy who's just been relegated with Hull. But that has been the pattern, and it's very much a pattern with Leicester. And it's something like, I think later on we'll be talking about Everton, that's it's something Everton have failed to do. Well, Everton has spent quite a lot of money.
Well, that's one of my favourite stories from Everton, is that Steve Walsh, who was placed in charge of the transfers, etc., a couple of years ago, said that he wanted to sign Harry Maguire and Andy Robertson when they were both still at Hull. And imagine the bargains that they would have represented to Everton, and how they would have gone on and flourished and become the players of the year.
That's again of the Arsene Wenger thing. Like, the amount of times Arsene Wenger would say, I looked at him, I was thinking of buying him. I knew all about him before everyone else. Why didn't you buy him, Arsene?
Hindsight's a great thing.
It is much like your Spotify Best of Year thing that you're so delighted to share with everybody today, Kieran. What was your most listened to song of 2019?
It was A Better Oblivion Community Centre, one of their songs.
Joe, who's a massive fan of that album?
Who?
The great Mark Hagney.
Is he? Yeah. He knows his tunes.
I'd say you have a nice left field one, Richie, for us.
Do you know what mine was? I said this in the meeting earlier on, and I'm like, it's wrong. Because the other way, sometimes you just stick something on because, like, you're having it hard trying to get to sleep. You stick on a kind of a sleep playlist. I discovered the music of the composer Andres Segovia.
Oh, really?
To the point where I was like, all right, I'll stick that on and just go to sleep.
Hipster.
I must have listened to it so much that it came out as my top.
Such a hipster.
You're going to end up watching Andre Rieu on Sky Arts. His concert from Maastricht that they keep repeating every 2 hours.
They look great crack, though. I'll say this about an Andre Rieu concert audience. They all look like they smell fantastic. Do you know what I mean, though? They look like they're that level of moneyed.
It's like the studio, really.
But they walk by you and you go,
yeah.
They've got a bit about them.
But the problem, well, I wouldn't say it's a problem, but my 11-year-old uses the same Spotify account as my wife.
Oh, there we go.
So my top 50, there's always, when I look through it, I go, yeah, that wasn't bad. I used to listen. And then you see, like, themed to some crappy song from Star Wars, or a lot of 70s disco stuff, which my wife would be into, or Steely Dan. I know you love Steely Dan.
What's your problem with the Dan?
Steely Dan.
Right.
Just don't get it.
But between 9 and 10, the football show has been scrapped. Instead, me and Kieran will discuss the merits of the genius of Steely Dan.
I agree with her about Kate Bush. We agree on Kate Bush, but not Steely Dan. Otherwise, we divorced.
I'll bring you around to the Dan. Shane, we move from the Dan to the Premier League action tonight. We've got 2 more games of a Thursday as well, so it's a nice little treat for us.
Yeah, Arsenal, well used to playing on a Thursday, of course, of late, but this time in the Premier League. Freddie Ljungberg taking charge of his first home game as manager at the Emirates as Arsenal host Brighton. That's at 8:15. Ljungberg has been speaking in advance of the game. He says Brighton bring an unpredictable setup to their games.
Yeah, no, I watched them a little bit. Try to prep a little bit. They look good. They change formations a lot. So we'll see which formation they come with. They try to play out. Defending well, looks very well organised. But for me, it's we need to concentrate on our own game. We play at home. Of course, I take into account how I think they will play, but I need to develop the game plan, how we want to play football, and that's what I try to concentrate on.
Freddie Ljungberg just seems like one of these characters that just wouldn't work as a manager.
No.
I can't. There's that leap just cannot.
But I just
be made.
remember he used to do all these underwear ads. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
For Calvin Klein, all that. I just can't get that out of my head, unfortunately.
It's not so much the underwear ads. It's just he comes across as one of these people who just wants to be liked by the players still.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a manager, you have to shed that completely. Where you can get on with them and you can be grand, but you can't be everyone's mate. I think that's the space that Ljungberg still seems.
Yeah, there's
to
been quite a
occupy.
few. Like I think Ruud Gullit was like that. I always got that impression that he was one of those.
Isn't it crazy how short-lived Gullit's essential peak management years lasted?
Consider who did he have? He got Newcastle and Chelsea. Was that it?
Newcastle and
Did
Chelsea.
he do anybody else?
And then beyond that, you're like, where did he go? I think he was at Feyenoord.
Was he at
For a
Feyenoord?
while, yeah. And
Okay.
if you're going to ask me who else Ruud Gullit was in charge of, I'm going to struggle. But he did quite well. Won the cup at Chelsea, I think.
Yeah,
Won
yeah.
the cup, Winners' Cup, I think, in there too. And then just went off a cliff.
Yeah.
That's real for you. We're waiting on team news from the Emirates.
He did a
by the way.
column for us for a while.
Did he?
That's how desperate he was.
Who took that call week on week?
Somebody used to have the ghost Ruud Gullit. Imagine that, ghosting sexy Ruud. But not a sexy Dutch accent.
Do you ever have to ghost anybody good?
Anybody good? Loads of good people. We've never had a bad comment.
Do you ever have to ghost anybody that needed a lot of mopping up?
Loads, yeah.
He's not going to tell us.
No, not on
Wait
air.
until the mics are dead. When we get to the team news from Sheffield.
John Costello. I'm just wondering who John Costello's ghost is, because he's a very good writer. Having a cut every year.
Is it Ewan?
Is it you? No.
Anyway, we'll move on to I would say Graham Potter actually wanted to speak about this game as well.
Yeah, the Brighton boss says with the new manager in charge of the opposition tonight in Arsenal, it's tough to plan for what they might do.
Freddie's just had one game at Norwich and then he'll be probably working to change some things. That's the whole point of making a change, I guess. You want to do something different, you want to see something different. They'll be working on that, but yeah, it's not easy to second guess that, and I don't think we should spend too much time doing that either. We just need to try and focus on ourselves.
The team news has just dropped for the game at the Emirates as well. I can tell you Bernd Leno starts in goal for Arsenal. They then have a back four of Hector Bellerin, Socrates Papastotopoulos, David Luiz and Sead Kolasinac. In midfield, the popular figure of Granit Xhaka. He's alongside Lucas Torreira, Joe Willock, Mesut Ozil and Alexandre Lacazette are in behind Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang for Brighton. The headline news from an Irish perspective at least is that there is another start for Aaron Connolly up front. Matt Ryan starts in goal for them. Alizette, Dunk, Webster and Byrne. Then you've got Josh Stevens, Proper, Gross, Aaron Moy, Neil Maupay, and up front as well is Aaron Connolly. Shane Duffy is only on the bench for Brighton tonight. There is an 8:15 kick-off to that one.
Yeah, the other game this evening in the Premier League is Sheffield United against Newcastle. 7:30 kick-off, so not far away from that game. The Irish perspective, Irish Internationals John Egan and Enda Stevens starting for Sheffield United. Kieran Clark is in the Newcastle lineup as well. Dave McGoldrick dropping to the bench for the host as well. With the rest of the team news from Bramall Lane is Lee Stott.
Well, Sheffield United boss Chris Wilder usually keeps his changes to a minimum, but if he does alter things, it's with his forward pairing, and that's what he's done tonight. Ollie McBurney and captain Billy Sharp come in for Lys Mousset and David McGoldrick, who are on the bench. For Newcastle, Alain Saint-Maximin is fit to play despite going off for the draw against Manchester City, while the one changer is a significant one. Andy Carroll starts in a Premier League game for the Magpies. For the first time in 8 years, he comes in for Joe Linton. It's Sheffield United and Newcastle United.
Big Andy on a Thursday night up at Bramall Lane. It is tailor-made. Hello to Kim, 38, says, I support Leicester now. I've given up on Manchester United. Change is good, Kim. Change is good. Our latest Off the Ball Roadshow in association with Heineken Rugby Club is nearly sold out. Next Wednesday, we're going to be in the Galmont Hotel in Galway with Will Greenwood, Connacht Andy Friend and Tiernan O'Halloran, and Galway legend Cyril Farrell is going to be in attendance as well. Tickets are almost gone, as we say, but you can win a pair tonight by identifying our mystery voice who says Kieran Cunningham is Donegal's greatest ever export.
It's not even a debate.
Surely isn't. He's the one and only.
It's not even a debate.
If you think you know who that is, text your name and answer to 53106.
And a call.
We will announce a winner. He'd be giving it to himself. We'll announce a winner later on in the show. The latest on Marco Silva, we mentioned at the top of the show, the clock is ticking on him. Hasn't been sacked yet.
Not yet, but it's like sack watch, but it's very, very close, I would say. But the owner, Farhad Moshiri of Everton, has arrived, or did arrive at their training ground earlier at Finch Farm for emergency talks with the manager Marco Silva. Toffee's 18th in the Premier League table at the moment after that 5-2 hammering by Liverpool in the Merseyside derby last night. The Everton players were asked to stay behind after training today. Silva's sacking expected imminently. Former Goodison boss David Moyes among those being linked with replacing him.
Breaking news from several reputable sites at the moment saying Marco Silva has in fact been sacked. I really should be doing this.
We should have a siren. We should have a siren.
We should have some kind of sound effects. I should have Farhad Moshiri on my phone. I've just held my ear. Marco Silva has been sacked as manager of Everton Football Club. He has been sacked as manager. Cue the Andrea Bocelli, good friend of mine, great singer, makes a fantastic carbonara. No cream, it's authentic. There you go, Marco Silva, sacked. This is a terrible way. Somebody loses their job.
And Andrew Rio. Andrew Rio or Andre Rio?
Andre Rio. And his lovely smelling audience. Marco Silva sacked.
We could take over as Lyric FM.
No, I'm not.
Be the new Lyric FM studio.
No one's going near Marty. Leave Marty alone. Marty in the morning.
Marty would be great in here. Marty would be great and off the ball.
I'd love it. Yeah. If you can somehow make that happen.
I watch Winning Streak every week because of Marty, genuinely. I stalked him in Super Value Killester one day.
How did that go?
Just kind of walked around the aisles for a while looking at Marty.
Like a normal person.
Yeah.
I once saw him buying a lot of second-hand videos in Chapters in Mid-Abbey Street when it was still there, and they still had the video elements to the shop.
Yeah.
I think he had good taste as well. And he was sat behind, actually, Marty Whelan was sat behind me at Steely Dan.
Oh, was it? Yeah, Marty would like it.
You haven't lived, Kieran Cunningham, I say to you, until you've seen Marty Whelan air drumming to the Doobie Brothers and discussing sound issues with your other half.
Yeah. Wasn't he at some concert and he was brought up on stage or mentioned?
He, Michael Bublé, Christmas's own Michael Bublé, came down off stage at the Trina Arena and said happy birthday to Marty Whelan because they've got such a great relationship because Marty Whelan's such a bloody good bloke.
Yeah, and like the amount of jobs he had and he was basically shafted or the stations disappeared and then he just keeps bouncing back and he stopped dyeing his hair. I always give great credit to him for that. He just said feck it, I'm not going to bother dyeing it.
He resodded the fairway, to be fair to him, so and he has been quite open about that as well. So
have you discussed this with him?
No, I didn't get a chance to when he was buying the second-hand videos, and I don't think he'd done it by that stage.
Okay, you wouldn't go down that road now?
No, I wouldn't. No. I'm going to get the trip
even
to Turkey.
Even a little mohawk, no?
I'm going to wait until I can get it subsidised.
Okay.
And then I'm going to head over to Turkey and get it done. Jack and Santry, Good Man Richie, The Dan, Fagan and Becker, throw a sprinkle of Michael McDonald in there. Genius. Beautiful thing. There you go. That's independent testimony from Jack and Santry about the genius of Steely Dan.
Yeah, I like some songs, though. A few of them.
I'm just going to put you in a room with the album Asia and just let you have
I hear loads of them. My wife loves them. She's playing. She would have been at that gig as well.
If you're just tuning in, Tom Dunn has not started early. It is 7:20 and it will be on the way from 10 o'clock this evening.
Do you think Jim Gavin's a Dan man?
I'd love to know what's on Jim Gavin's Spotify top 10.
I had a few parties with Jim once, but we didn't talk music. He's been with his wife since they were teenagers. That was the most interesting thing from that conversation.
That's the most interesting from a well-known pilot. He's been with his wife since a teenager. Grand. He's won a little bit of a trinket today, Shano.
Yeah, big time. He's been named the Signify Sports Manager of the Year, Jim Gavin, today. The former Dublin senior men's football manager led the boys in blue, of course, to a historic 5 All-Ireland titles in a row. In September, Gavin, who stepped down from his role at the weekend, dedicated the award to his players. He also picked up the award in 2013, and he's just the 5th person to win the prestigious title more than once. He spoke to Off the Ball's Jamie Moore earlier.
Jim, have you spoken to the players, about this decision, and what did you say to them?
It's pretty straightforward. I met with the players and I gave them the news. I reflected on the space that I was given, and I did what was best for my family, my work, and indeed Dublin GA. And that conclusion I came to was to hand over the reins to a new manager in 2020. And I'm excited to see the team grow again and and the performances that they will no doubt bring in 2020.
Was that team meeting hard, emotional? How would you describe how you felt when you were speaking to the players to tell them that you wouldn't be their manager anymore?
Yeah, it's difficult to say goodbye after 12 years, but it has to be done, and it's done.
And I'm sure as well, they're all looking forward to what's going to happen in the future. For you, what words would you use to describe what you've done for Dublin in the last 6-7 years?
I've just had a great journey. I've been very fortunate enough to be surrounded by a fantastic management team over many different campaigns. There have been I've had a phenomenal backroom team supporting me, but above all facilitating the players to be their best. And lastly, the guys that I've worked with, the players, have been just a unique group of men. Their sacrifice, dedication, commitment, honesty, and humility have made me very proud of them. And as I said, I look forward to seeing them play in the Dum jersey in 2020.
And just lastly, I'm sure things now are still quite raw, but when you reflect, maybe a couple of weeks, couple of months, will you miss it?
After 12 years, absolutely. But my focus now is on the local GA club, the under-11 team, and looking forward to that.
Thanks, Jim. Well done.
Fáilte Róibh.
Cheers. Thank you.
The Signify Manager of the Year, Jim Gavin, there giving the Jim Gavin interview. Alan in Castleknock has texted us on 53106 saying, lads, I saw Marty Whelan on the street while I was on a Viking splash tour. The driver made us do the famous roar at him, and he looked up from his phone, gave us a wink and a wave.
Do you know what Marty's greatest strength is? When they spin the wheel and it takes about 20 seconds to spin. And
filling.
He has to fill the time because it's just going, and he's going, oh, jeez, you're strong. Jeez, that was some spin there. Yeah. And he just had to fill this dead air for 20 seconds. It's brilliant. Not easy skill to do.
I found it out.
Yeah.
I was sat here trying to call a penalty. It was some Piddling Europa League game was on last week, and there's a penalty happening. And so you're trying to fill the space whereby a penalty is being, settled, and they're looking at the video. You can't fill that.
Steely Dan.
That's what you should do. Yeah. At all times, if you want to fill a gap, and throw in a bit of the Dan. Text Andre Ryu, which is not easy to say in and of itself. I'm no Brexiteer.
But, big but.
Cannot lie. Watching his audience, I can only conclude the Irish will never be truly European. No classical tune will ever make me weep. Fact, says Conor Rigsend. Con, you need to listen to some Andrei Segovia, clearly.
People cry at Fields of Athenry, for God's sake, for some reason. Because it's so shite.
What do you really think, Kieran?
This is what happens when Kieran's not allowed to go to the Signify Manager of the Year Awards. He gets angry about old traditional songs.
It's not old, it's only about 30 years old.
It's older than Shane.
It's Pete St. John wrote it. He's not that old. Older than Shane, yeah.
Hannon.
Older than the YouTuber.
Like and subscribe, guys. Like and subscribe.
Hey, guys, what's the next story?
Next story, Richie, is quite a sad one. We're going to talk about darts. Yeah, the British Darts Organisation, the BDO, will no longer have their tournaments recognised by the World Darts Federation. A letter was sent out by the governing body citing the breaching of rules, time to say goodbye again,
I'm actually going to cry at this
which occurred at the BDO World Masters as the main cause of their decision not to endorse them. As a result, now the BDO have been downgraded to associate member status.
Oh, Jesus.
This means, in essence, they are no longer the governing body for darts in the country. Their 2020 event is set to take place between January 4th and 12th at the Indigo nightclub at London's O2 Arena.
Dagger an arrow through my heart.
I know. It was moved controversially after 33 years, of course, at the Lakeside Country Club, where the likes of Eric Bristow, Phil Taylor and Jockey Wilson lifted the world title. This comes after a disastrous BDO World Masters at the Circus Tavern back in October, when officials performed a redraw after a registration mess-up.
What about this for a brainwave?
BDO balls.
BDO goes, so BDI take it over. The BDI World Darts Championship. What do you think?
Fronted by Liam Gallagher.
Yeah. He'd be as good as some of those players, in fairness.
Good God. So
9 dart finish means 9 at it, 1 double, doesn't
the
it?
BDO has left the Lakeside.
Yeah.
Is no longer recognised by the World Darts Federation, and its leader for many years, Ollie Croft, passed away not 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. It's been a tough few weeks. No more Chase the Sun.
It's going to be in the Ali Pally from next week. But regardless, the BDO and the Lakeside was just that's what drew us all into the darts.
Yeah.
And it's gone. It's a very, very sad thing. If anybody wants a good documentary, by the way, I know darts mightn't be your thing. Steely Dan's album, there is a Blood on the Carpet documentary the BBC did about 20 years ago about the great split in darts at the time, when the PDC broke off, from the BDO and the formation of the two kind of dueling darts federations. Absolutely brilliant stuff, and Ollie Croft is a star of the piece as well. Jack and Santry has been back in touch, and legal have assured us that this is not libelous. Always a good start. Jack and Santry says, I was once standing beside Marty Whelan, who was wearing leather pants at a Sade concert in 1984 in the National Stadium. A vision that did nothing to spoil my enjoyment of said gig. Yeah. There's brilliant pictures of Marty and Sade going around on the internet.
Is there?
Yeah, he interviewed her donkeys years ago.
Right.
And Marty and Sade, both looking as glamorous as each other. And Marty was also the original host of Head to Toe.
Right. At one of the Ireland Germany games, away games a few years ago, I remember being in the mix zone. I think it was the one in Cologne. Where Noel King was caretaker? I can't remember. But Johnny Logan came through the mix zone wearing leather trousers and a very flamboyant scarf. I think he might have sung a song
He
before
did the anthem
game
before Ireland-Germany in Cologne.
That's what it was, yeah. But it was a very unexpected sight. I
Great
have to
buzz
say.
man, Johnny Logan. Shane, thank you.
Thank you, Richie.
Kieran's going to stick with us. John Giles is on the way next.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
It's time to trade up to a new Peugeot at Gowan Motors, Navan Road. Right now, selected Peugeots come with Peugeot Drive Time. That means flexible payment options, 5-year warranty, and up to €750 deposit contribution or up to €4,000 scrappage allowance. Available now at Gowan Motors, Navan Road. Terms and conditions